All right, guys, back here again. Good morning. And so this is our walkthrough or kind of introduction, I suppose, to our elaboration emphasis for today, which is clarification. All right. Um, and so what I have done here is I've linked this to the resource that I talked about in the walkthrough for your developing draft 1.1. All right. This link takes you to this right here, all right, which again is that resource that I have provided, all right, methods of elaboration. Heading back here, I just took the definition of clarification off of that resource, all right, and again, clarification is just explaining again or in greater detail to make clearer, easier to understand, free of confusion or uncertainty, all right. The term clarification should be fairly familiar to you, particularly with our CCC work with claim site clarify, all right. Clarification is not only an effective way to elaborate, but it's also a fairly easy way, especially and importantly, if you use the transition or signal words to help you. All right. Um, Here's some examples, and I'll get back to this in just a moment. So another resource that I have provided for you is this resource right here. All right, it is a website that I think has a pretty comprehensive presentation of different transition or signal words. You will need to scroll down, all right, for the ones that we're using today, all right, and the ones we're using today are right down here, all right, cues that lead readers into statements that clarify or emphasize. And what I've done is I have actually, to make it easier for you, copied and pasted both of these tables into today's document, all right, and so going back to this, all right, um, here they are, those ones that I talked about right here. And so in the first one, I'm going to clarify a point that the reader just read. And so here's my first statement. My students are great kids, all right? Now I'm going to add information to that, okay? Or I'm going to clarify what I mean by that. I mean, what does great kids mean? All right. So that is, and so here's my transition. All right. And I know this one says that is to say, but I just went with that is. It's close enough. All right. They show up to class every day with awesome attitudes and energetic enthusiasm. All right. So what I have done is I have clarified a point. All right. I have clarified what I meant by great kids. All right. And I use the signal word that is to say. I could have used in other words, I mean, all right, et cetera. Put another way, as I did earlier in that elaboration that I did in the developing draft 1.1, okay? Another way to clarify, all right, guys, is to emphasize a point that a reader is about to read, okay? And so with this one, I said distance learning is difficult, okay? And I'm going to emphasize how difficult it is in the next statement, all right? And I used a transition or signal word here. In fact, it is the hardest thing I have ever done in my 25 years of teaching. So it's not enough just to say distance learning is difficult because that might mean all sorts of things, all right? And by adding this, I have further clarified or specified what I meant by distance learning is difficult. So what I want you to do today is I want you to find instances where you've said things like, this is great or this is difficult, all right? And then I want you to use signal words and the elaboration method of clarification to add more information, to add greater clarity, to add greater specificity to what it is that you're talking about. And I think if you do this, one, you'll find that readers have a better sense of really what you're talking about and what you mean. And so that is why I'm having you do this today. Please remember that you have to have at least one example of clarification in your developing draft 1.1. All right. And then please remember too, to highlight those in yellow as I have done here. Okay, hopefully this helps with clarification. All right, if you need clarification on clarification, either come back here or reach out to me for help. Okie dokie, kiddos. All right, thank you.